Welcome, everybody, to the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show on the Grilly Truth Sports Network. The Grilly Truth, as always, is brought to you by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Grilling Truth. I am your co-host for the Indiana Basketball Weekly Show, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, 1981 national champion, member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Doing good. Enjoying the fruits of Saturday's effort. Still, it doesn't sound like the Hoosiers are. Sound like Woody gave them 1 hour to celebrate, and then busted them down and started watching film for their next opponent, which I like to see. So, but I'm having a good time out here in sunny California, where it's about 75 degrees, ocean out there in view, and life is good. Grammys
Yeah,
last night, NASCAR here last night.
they were both terrible, so we won't even mention them.
The Super Bowl just miles away down in Glendale, Arizona.
It's rigged. So let's talk Indiana basketball, Steve. Uh, also, our Super Bowl preview show will be 8 o'clock Wednesday night. Make sure you join myself, Steve, Joe Spillman, our NFL beat writer, Dan Kornhauser. We'll break down the Super Bowl, give who we think is going to win. But let's
I'm
review the
picking the
week for
Colts.
Indiana. Let's review the week for the Indiana
I'm
Hoosiers.
picking the Colts.
The week started off with a Maryland game that was the exact opposite of the Purdue game. And what I mean by that is Hood-Schifino, I think, was like 1 for 14 in the game. Indiana let Maryland control the tempo. The game was at Maryland. Purdue, Indiana controls the tempo. Hood-Schifino plays much better. Indiana wins the game. So does that mean there's something to worry about because they have a harder time controlling tempo on the road? Or do you think maybe they learned something from the Maryland game, Steve?
Well, they're playing at home where I think they're 13-1 this year playing at home. They're riding I think a 4 or 5 game winning streak at Assembly Hall, at Simon Scott Assembly Hall.
It's Assembly Hall.
It's just Assembly Hall to me. It'll always be Assembly Hall to me. To hell with Simon and Scott. Although I know them personally, both of them, they're fairly nice people. Um, what concerns me more, not so much, is control and tempo. I think they're playing at Assembly Hall, so I think Indiana's going to be able to control the tempo of this game. What concerns me more is that I thought that what Maryland did well was they put a tremendous amount of pressure on the shot selection that Indiana was able to get. And you come into this game now with Rutgers, and Rutgers is number one in 2 point shooting, 2 point field goal percentage defense in the Big Ten. Now I understand Indiana is is a very good shooting team, but I tend to see Indiana still as a little bit of a streaky shooting team, and not necessarily a team you can rely on to shoot well every game. So rather than controlling tempo in this game, I'm just a little bit more concerned about Indiana making sure they're running their offensive sets. They're doing what they need to do to get players good shots. And then I think if you get them good shots and get them open shots, Indiana's going to be fine.
Yeah, and you look at Rutgers in that first game and looking into the second game, they defend the three very well. Now, with Indiana, not that big a deal. Indiana doesn't take a lot of threes. They do make a fairly high percentage of the threes they take. But Rutgers is a nasty defensive team. That's what's led them to this. I mean, they went to Purdue, I think lost at the buzzer to Purdue. No, they beat Purdue at Purdue. They beat Indiana. They beat Indiana easily, 63-48. They forced 16 takeaways. They dominated the boards with a plus 10 rebounding margin. And defense and aggressiveness travels, Steve. So even though they're coming here, you got to worry about that. But on the other hand, when we talk about one of the reasons they out rebounded us so much was, I mean, I'm going to screw this name up, but Mawut Mag. And he looks like he's probably going to be out of this game. He grabbed 9 boards in that first contest, scored 7 points. So that's going to be a big loss for them.
Yeah, and Indiana's really not hurt by injuries, other than players that have been out for us for a long period of time. And we haven't had Johnson all season, have we?
Well, we've had him, but it's been a while. Jordan
Well, I think
Geronimo,
when he played, we still didn't have him.
I think that was like December when he went out, maybe late December.
Who's the other kid that's out for us? All of a sudden, Geronimo.
So is Al.
Other than that, everybody else for us is the core group of guys that have gotten us to where we are right now are in play. So I think that the injury reports and the personnel reports favor Indiana in this game. I think that playing at the Hall favors us in this game. Hopefully, our lovely fans have gotten this running onto the court celebration system out of there. Hell, we got lambasted by everybody in the country for doing that. Not that I care about that, because most of those guys that lambast you are idiots anyway. We're the only two intelligent sportscasters on any type of airways.
Yeah.
Other than Stephen A. Smith. I love Stephen A. Smith.
He's an idiot.
I used to hate Stephen A. Smith, but I listened to that guy. I love him now. Hell, he was on Fox News the other night talking politics, and guy makes sense.
He's a dumbass.
Anyway,
all right, I'll bring up this. You talk about
what
injuries.
scares me to death? What scares me to death, Mike, is everything in the world favors Indiana in this game, and there's a tremendous amount of implications, which I'll let you talk about what the implications are of this game in a minute or a second here. But everything favors Indiana, which means, and coming off a win against Purdue, we are right to dump on ourselves and lose a game.
Yeah,
let's hope Mike and the staff have overcome that.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
If this was last year or the year before, I think this team is totally capable. I don't think Trace Jackson Davis is going to let them let down. Now, the first game against Rutgers, Jalen Hood-Schifino didn't play because he was injured. Xavier Johnson did play. He scored 8 points, but he had 6 turnovers. Miller Kopp was the star of that game. He scored 21. Trace Jackson Davis, Rutgers defended him well in that game. He was 5 for 11 for shooting from 2-point. He had 13 points. So when I look at that,
what did Race Thompson play in the first game?
Race Thompson, kind of. He played 17 minutes. He scored no points.
All right, so he hadn't gone through his knee injury at that point.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. This game was played so long ago that it has no bearing on anything.
You can't really draw a lot of conclusions because both teams have developed. I mean, right now, Rutgers sits in second in the Big Ten, and there's a logjam there for third with, I think they're 7-4, and there's 3 or 4 teams at 7-5. So this game has a lot of implications on the standings in the Big Ten. But I'm going to let you take it over now and talk about the implications of what this.
Well, we're going to talk about the game, and then we're going to get into a little Big Ten bracketology where we can go kind of roll this
one will lead us into the other.
Yeah, so when we look at the Indiana-Rutgers game, and I think it's probably impossible for them to play as intense and for the crowd to be as intense as they were against Purdue. But the offense at home has gone off against everybody except maybe the Wisconsin game. Even though they won the game, the offense really didn't play great, but they still won easily. So I think the crowd needs to keep the energy. The team needs to come out with energy because they cannot let Rutgers drag them into the way they want to play. And the Scarlet Knights, they live on defense. All right. And when you look at that, defense and style should travel just fine. But it isn't. I mean, Rutgers was able to get by Purdue and Northwestern in low-scoring games early in January, but that's it. Since then, they've been 2-5 on the road. So when I look at this game, I think the home court advantage is huge here. Right now, there's no point spread to go to SI Sportsbook, which is our top recommended sportsbook for betting this game. But I expect the point spread to be Indiana minus 2 to 4 points, maybe a little bit more than that. I don't know. Maybe it'll value Indiana being at home more. I would say if I could get this game at Indiana minus 5 or less, I will jump all over it. I think Indiana will struggle scoring at times. At times, I think it'll be like pulling teeth. But I think that as this game goes on, both teams played Saturday, right? I mean, Rutgers played, I think, Saturday against Michigan State. So they have to travel. Indiana stayed at home. With all that being said, I think Indiana offensively will play well in this game. I think Indiana's going to win this game by double digits.
I do too. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I'm saying something like 70-58.
Yeah, I'm saying, you know me, I don't gamble to a great degree, but I would say if the odds that you said, if the odds are -5 or under, take that bet. I think that's as safe a bet as I'll be willing. I'd be willing to make a bet on this game if I knew
If you
how
can
to make
figure out how to make a bet on the game. But the problem is, even if you figure out, it's still not legal, is it, in California?
I don't even know. I give you the money. You can make the bet for me. All that money that Malta pays me to be on this show, tuck that and invest it into a bet.
Well, yeah, you got to get it legal in California. After that, though, Indiana on Saturday will travel to Michigan. Michigan has played much better as of late. They blew out Northwestern at Northwestern 68-51. They also beat Ohio State 77-69. Now, Ohio State has gone completely in the crapper, so that doesn't mean much. But Michigan will get a game against Nebraska they should win on Wednesday night. Indiana will travel to Michigan on Saturday. Now, our plan is this. We will have an actual Indiana-Michigan pregame show. If it's all right with you, Steve, we will do that Wednesday or Friday.
Wednesday we have an NFL show. You want to mix them together?
Well, I mean, during the day. I mean, let's do an Indiana-Michigan preview show.
Mike, I drink during the day.
Let's do Indiana versus Michigan. We will preview that game and look back at Rutgers on Thursday night. How about that? We'll go Thursday night at 7:00.
All right.
We'll go Indiana-Michigan preview show. Now, what I want to get into is this, because number one, it's much more fun to do it this year than it has been in past years.
Of course, because we're on the hunt.
We're going to look at the bracketology here and the update on the teams that are in right now, teams that are, kind of on the borderline. Now, I'm going to go off what we got with Joe Lunardi. Joe Lunardi right now has Purdue as the number 1 seed, the number 1 seed overall. They've got Rutgers as a 5 seed, Indiana as a 5 seed, Illinois as a 5 seed, Iowa is a 7, Michigan State is an 8, Maryland is an 8, Northwestern is a 10. So that means you've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams in the Big Ten making the dance right now.
Wait, dance through those one at a time. Let's talk. Just make a sentence about each one.
Let's
start with Purdue. Purdue is not a number 1 seed.
Yeah, they are.
They will be
down a number 1 seed.
I watched them play. I don't think I think they got one player, and there's a lot of coaches out there that can figure out how to shut the big kid down. And
haven't they? Indiana didn't shut the big kid down.
Well, but they didn't win. So Purdue will be a number 1 seed,
and they should be.
But I'd be shocked if they get to the Elite 8.
All right, let's do this, Steve. You don't think they should be a 1 seed? Their schedule so far this year is they beat 10th ranked Marquette. They beat West Virginia by 12. Not that big a deal. They beat Gonzaga by 18. They beat Duke by 21. Still good teams. They blew out Florida State by double digits. I mean, that's a pretty good resume even before you get into the Big Ten.
5 minutes into the first half of the Duke-Miami game, Miami's killing Duke.
What's that got to do with what happened 2 months ago? And Miami's like a top 10 team, Steve.
All right.
They're good.
All right.
Purdue is a legitimate number 1
seed. Yes, they will. Move on.
I think they don't get any farther than the Sweet 16 at best.
I think if they got to the Elite 8, I'd be surprised.
I would too. I just said Sweet 16.
Yeah,
number 5
I
seed.
agree with you. Next,
number 5 seed. Number 5 seed is Rutgers, which
I think they'll fall. I think Indiana's going to beat them. Who does Rutgers play big the rest of the year? They got a pretty tough schedule, don't they?
They don't play anybody big because they're in a Big Ten. Let's see. The Big Ten's really not that great. I mean, it's really not.
They got the same overall record as Indiana.
Yeah. But what's their schedule?
Yes.
So what we will do is this. I will go ahead and look it up.
I can pull it up right here. I
already did.
I already got it.
Rutgers plays at Illinois. Actually, I've already reading it off. But they play at Illinois. They host Nebraska, at Wisconsin, host Michigan, at Penn State, at Minnesota. That is not a tough schedule.
That is not a tough schedule. And they finish out with Northwestern at home. All right, they got an easy pathway in.
I think this. I think they will end up somewhere between a 4 and a 6 seed. Agreed?
I'll give them that, sure. If you give Indiana the same seed.
They don't play the same schedule, number one. Steve.
Nah, Indiana's a better basketball team, though.
Doesn't matter if you play a tougher schedule, though. But I will say this. When we look at Indiana, the rest of their schedule, they got the Rutgers game. They've got to win that. Beating Michigan, beat Northwestern and Northwestern. This Indiana schedule is much tougher. They host Illinois. They play at Michigan State. They play at Purdue. They host Iowa. They finish with Michigan. I'm going to guess on Indiana somewhere between a 3 and a 7. The 3 is if they get hot and they take care of games like Northwestern on the road.
Yeah.
The 7 is if the rails come off. And the rails come off to me means they probably play the rest of the season at 500.
To me, the 3 is if they do what you say they're going to do.
And they got to beat Purdue.
Beat Purdue, right. If they beat Purdue, they go to a 3. And do the rest of the things you said.
As long as they win 80% of their games and beat Purdue, they will. Now, the shot at beating Purdue at Purdue, I do not like those chances right now, but I don't hate them. I think it can be done.
I tell you what, Mike. Looking at Indiana's schedule, if they go 5-3 the rest of the season, I'd be happy.
And that would put them at 21-10, and probably put them at, according to what they do in the Big
Ten, at a 5 to 7 seed.
Yeah, somewhere around there. So I think a 3 is possible. I think 5 to 7 is more likely.
3's only going to come if you beat Purdue again,
or if you beat everybody. Well, if you beat everybody but Purdue, a 3.
Nah, it still won't matter.
Yeah, it will.
No,
because Purdue's going to lose the rest of their games, and we're going to win the Big Ten championship. Next up, we've got Illinois. My problem with Illinois is they don't have a basketball coach. I mean, that Underwood dude. That dude annoys the hell out of me. Is it just me, Steve, or is this guy annoying me more?
I was the only guy that annoyed the hell out of you.
He might annoy me more than you and Lou Henson combined.
What about Joe? What about Joe Spillman?
What about Joe Spillman?
He annoys you too, doesn't he?
Well, he's just a dumbass. You're just a dumbass. I love you both, so it's all right. But we look at Illinois. They will host Rutgers right after this. So really.
Yeah, but you think Dan Kornhauser is a real true dumbass.
Yeah, he is. But Rutgers, then they go to Penn State, which is a tough place to play. So they got to go to Indiana.
Wait a minute. Why is the Minnesota-Illinois game postponed?
Why was it postponed?
Yeah.
Well, probably COVID. There was another Big Ten game.
No, it can't have happened yet. They played Iowa, beat Illinois on February 4th.
Yeah.
So the IU-Minnesota game, the Illinois-Minnesota game, was it scheduled for today?
I guess. Yeah, here we go. I got it for you now. Tuesday's men's basketball game between Illinois and Minnesota has been postponed due to COVID-19 health and safety protocols in the Minnesota program. Illinois announced on Monday.
Got COVID.
Let's
You know what? They probably all got the vaccine shots.
Probably. That's probably why they're all sick.
Exactly right.
So when I look at Illinois, I just think, with Captain Underpants there, or Underwood, whatever the hell his name is,
they got
I think Illinois
too.
Illinois ends up to me somewhere between a 5 and an 8.
I think you're being generous.
I don't, because I think they're going to win some games. They'll win some games they shouldn't, and they'll lose some they should.
They're going to go to Rutgers. They're going to play Penn State. Happy Valley is no fun place
Penn
to play.
State Penn State's played like crap as of late.
They got to come to Assembly Hall. They got to go to Northwestern. That's got to be a rivalry game for them, Northwestern, to home Illinois, king of Illinois.
Who wants to be the king of Illinois?
That's cream of the crap. Come on, give him a break.
I know. Well, maybe the winner can be
Ohio State. Chris, what's his name? Should have just stayed at Butler.
Chris, what's his name?
Yeah, the coach of Ohio State.
Oh yeah, Holtzman.
Holtzman should have just stayed at Butler. What guys do that for?
Money.
He's in a great place. He's at Butler. It's a basketball mecca.
Money.
It's a Cinderella story perennially. It's a beautiful old fieldhouse gym with a lot of history and tradition.
Steve, I just told you, money.
He's going to go off to Ohio State where football's the king. I didn't even know Ohio State still had a basketball team.
Well, What the hell? Money. All right,
Money.
Iowa, the Hawkeyes who've been up and down all year. They got another coach I can't stand, Fran McCaffrey. He's a moron too.
Oh, come on, I like Fran.
You probably do. You guys
He
are
looks
about
like
the same
Lee Rose.
age. He looks like a dumbass, which is what Pete Rose is. But when you look at Iowa,
He's better looking than me, and you call me a dumbass.
Dude, underneath my ball sack looks better than you. I'm just kidding. But it does because I shave it and keep it well groomed. But when I look at
what do you
Iowa,
got him ranked at? What do you got him ranked at?
Illinois, I think, will be somewhere between a 5 and an 8. I think Iowa.
I'm going to say on the 8, closer to 8 than 5.
I believe that too. But I do believe there's the talent there if they can overcome the coaching where they can do something then. Iowa, I think right now they've got them as a 7 seed. I think they end up somewhere between a 9 and 11. I'll say 10.
Yeah.
Because they're an all right team, but nothing great. Now, the interesting one to me, because I don't think they're very good, and I think it's playing out right now. They've got Michigan State as a number 8 seed.
Well, that's because of what's his name, their coach.
Is that enough to get them in?
I think it is for Michigan, because Michigan State, yeah. And what's their coach's name? I'm drawing a blank on that too. Izzo is as bad as I think that Purdue's coach is. Matt Painter.
I'm sorry, Matt Painter is a hell of a basketball.
He's a terrible tournament coach.
Oh God, he made it to an Elite 8.
This team performs great all season long, and then gets in the tournament and pukes on themselves. Okay. And I think just the opposite. Michigan State can go through a season like they're going through now. And Izzo just knows how to coach his team. That's a team that nobody's going to want to face in the tournament.
Yeah, they will. See, that's such bullshit. I mean, Michigan State won the national championship a quarter of a century ago.
Michigan State, they may not have won a tournament, but they made runs. They've gotten to the Final Four.
How many times have they gotten to the Final Four?
Oh, they were there just a couple years ago.
How many times?
I don't know. More times than Indiana has.
Wouldn't take much.
I would not, Michigan State, of all the Big Ten teams in there, other than Purdue, is probably one of the 2 or 3 teams I would not want to face in the tournament.
You're nuts, dude.
Okay.
They're going to lose to Maryland tomorrow night at home. They'll beat Ohio State.
I bet they beat Maryland at home.
Maryland's not that good on the road, but they're going to win the game tomorrow night. Mark my words.
Okay.
They'll beat Ohio State. They'll beat Minnesota because everybody beats them. They'll lose at Michigan. They'll lose to Indiana at home. They'll lose to Iowa. They'll beat Nebraska. They'll beat Ohio State.
They'll lose to Iowa. They're a better team than.
They're playing at Iowa. Do you think Indiana's better than Iowa?
Yeah, I do right now.
Okay.
I don't think they were when they played them.
Really? Because when they played them, we'd only lost 1 game, and we were ranked in the top 10, I think.
Yeah, but we were overranked.
Oh.
We hadn't played anybody. When you play Steve Downing's Marion College, which is it's an NAIA program. It's not even.
What the hell are you talking about playing Marion?
That was the first game they played this year.
Every team played an NAIA school or D3 school their first game of the year.
All right.
They're called exhibitions.
Okay, and then we went off and played what?
I think this. I think we're done with Indiana. Michigan State will be an 11 seed.
Okay, and I think if that's an 11 seed, that's one of those dangerous teams in the tournament.
It's not, because they don't have anything. Name all their really good players. And don't give me they're going to coach, because you can be the greatest coach in the world. If you ain't got players, it ain't going to matter. All right, right now they've got Maryland as an 8 seed. And to me, this is tricky because Maryland right now is as hot as anybody in the Big Ten. But they don't play great on the road.
No.
Oh.
No, I agree with you.
So do you think they make the tournament? What seed if they do?
Maryland?
Yeah.
Oh, they make the tournament. Yeah, I think they dance. But what did you say they have them at? A 12?
An 8 right now.
8? I think 8 to 12 is a fair pick for them right now. And there's one thing that's going to jumble this, and I'll get to that when you're done.
Well, the conference tournament.
It's the conference tournament. Exactly.
But we're ignoring that right now because
We're
we don't
ignoring
know
that.
who
That's
they
why I
play.
said I'll get to it when we go
Right
through
now,
the,
I think
the
this.
teams.
I think Maryland ends up somewhere between a 4 and a 6 seed. I think
Maryland
they're going to
comes
go
and
on
plays
a
well.
big run.
Yeah. Let's get through this, and then let's talk about what this does if it in tournament play.
It doesn't
Tournament play
matter.
changes everything.
It doesn't. I mean, if you win the
It does.
tournament,
If
you're going to
Maryland
get me
comes
out
and
quick.
makes a big run in the tournament, they go from an
I
8
can
to
tell you
12
this.
seed
I can tell you
to a
this.
3
Maryland
to 5
right
seed
now,
quickly.
if Maryland beats Michigan State tomorrow night, they will then host Penn State. They will then host Maryland. Here's the key to Maryland or
Maryland's
Purdue.
going to host Maryland.
No, Maryland's going to host Purdue. But here's the key to the game.
Maryland.
They play Penn State on Saturday. They get 5 days to prepare for Purdue. I think they beat Purdue. So if they beat Purdue, Michigan State, they go through, they go to Nebraska, get a win. They host Minnesota, they get a win. They host Northwestern, they get a win. Ohio State sucks, they get a win at Penn State.
I don't think Purdue loses again in the Big Ten this year till tournament.
Jesus. I'll tell you, it's really confusing with you because you just told me you didn't think they were that good. They were a one-man
team. I don't,
team.
But you told me you don't think anybody in the Big Ten's that good.
I think Purdue is very good. I think Indiana is very good. I think Maryland may be getting to the point where they're very good. Illinois is dangerous because they got talent, but they got that dumbass that coaches them.
Purdue's got 2 tough teams left to play. They got to play Maryland. They got to go to Maryland, and they got to go to Indiana.
They've already been to Indiana, Steve, since you wanted to bust my balls about it.
Oh, they'll play Indiana at home. That's right. I'm sorry.
So I believe this. I believe Maryland. Maryland.
The 2 toughest games they got are Maryland and Indiana.
Maryland will move up to like a 5
Indiana
seed.
won't win at Mackey.
But I can tell you this: if Maryland beats Purdue and they take care of stuff the way they should, I would give 3 Big Ten teams legitimate shots to go to the Sweet 16, and that would be Purdue, Indiana, and Maryland. Possibility of Rutgers, but I think Rutgers defensively is great, but offensively they're very limited, and you got to score points at some point. Now, Lenardi's last team to make it in right now is Northwestern as a 10 seed. Do you think Northwestern will make it?
You know, Northwestern at 10 to me is a team, depending on how tournaments go, other conference tournaments, because if somebody wins the conference in the regular season, one of those lesser divisions, and then they get upset in a tournament and they have to put 2 teams in the tournament. Maryland to me, or Northwestern to me, is one of those Jeopardy teams, I'll call it. I'm going to coin the phrase a Jeopardy team because they have to rely on what goes on in other smaller conference tournaments.
I think Alex Trebek probably already coined the phrase Jeopardy.
Well, I don't think he coined it in terms of college basketball. And Alex Trebek is dead. Let the man rest in peace.
You know what? Don't talk shit about it.
It's Ken Jennings.
Dead. All right, so Northwestern.
And you should watch Jeopardy every night, like I do.
I used to. And then I realized I knew everything, so I stopped.
You couldn't answer any damn questions. So
you asked my wife. You know what? We ought to do Sports Jeopardy on here sometime.
It's already done. Dan, what's his name from ESPN, the old guy.
Yeah, but nobody watches.
I went on a double date with him and his girlfriend one time.
Were you dating him or his girlfriend?
I was dating my girlfriend. He was a sports reporter in Ohio at Dayton. And we went. Dan Patrick, yeah. My girlfriend knew his girlfriend.
You know, I don't trust people that have 2 first names.
He was a nice guy. I like Dan Patrick.
All right, so my worry with Northwestern is this. In their last 3 games,
they got Scotty Van Pelt and autographed Bob Knight basketball.
Yeah, signed by his secretary. But Northwestern 54, Wisconsin 52. That's their last win in 3 games. The other 2 losses were blowouts to Iowa. They lost by 16.
I think Northwestern is a bubble team that's in jeopardy.
I think they're not making the tournament. When you look at their schedule.
If I was going to bet, where am I going to find the best bet to make, Mike?
I don't know. SI Sportsbook.
And who's going to give you that information?
Well, you could go to the link in the description below if you're watching a video on YouTube to get SI Sportsbook. You want me to push to betting.net. I'm pushing SI Sportsbook because I'll tell you what, Steve. Wow. The other day, I bet on it for the first time. I bet it.
Does SI Sportsbook pay you?
Huh? They are a sponsor, so chill out. All right. So when we look at this, I think there's no way in hell Wisconsin,
trying to get back to good graces of corporate.
I don't think Wisconsin or Penn State, either one, get in. I don't think Michigan's going to get in because Juwan Howard, I mean, let's face it, Juwan
No,
Howard
Michigan will
makes.
get in because of Juwan Howard.
No, they won't because they
They
won't win
will.
enough games. Right now, they're like 84 in the Ken Palm.
Because
And
Juwan Howard will have Jalen Rose needs Juwan Howard to look somewhat intelligent on his broadcasting.
There's no way that could ever happen for Juwan Howard to look somewhat intelligent. Juwan Howard, literally, if you want to face it, makes Fran McCafferty and Coach Underwood at Illinois look like Bob Knight.
Yeah,
that's how bad he is.
He's the antithesis of Mike Woodson. He's the reason why you don't just randomly pick former college players to come in and coach your team.
He's the anti-what?
The anti-Mike Woodson.
You said
Woodson's developing into a good college coach, but Woodson also had 14 years of coaching experience.
Well, and Juwan Howard,
so
Juwan Howard's
he had
a dumbass.
some foundation to work with.
See, I think Juwan Howard did too. He coached in the NBA, Steve.
Oh, did he?
He was an assistant coach.
Oh.
And he's more, he's obviously more in tune to that because there you just got to babysit players. In college, you got to coach players. Mike Woodson's a smart man. Juwan Howard, he's a drooling idiot. So.
Yeah, I know Mike's a smart man. He won't return my calls.
Why not? I thought he liked you again now.
I thought he did too, but I tried trying to get him on this show, and I'm having a lot of luck right now. He's too busy winning.
Do you want me to try calling him?
Yeah, I'll give you his cell phone number.
Okay, I'll call him. I don't care. Oh, we got comments here. Oh, it's Joe.
Oh, it's just Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, Wiz Khalifa probably should coach.
What kind of comment is that?
He's a moron. I told you.
Who, Joe or Wiz Khalifa? I think they're both morons.
Both of them. I mean, they're probably both high during the game.
Wiz Khalifa's a rich moron.
So is Joe. He lives in VV, Indiana. Only rich folks live in VV,
He's got a big
Indiana.
mansion there.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. He's got a bunker probably because it's VV, Indiana. But all right, I think we're.
Hey, I got a nil check the other day. $0.12.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, my picture's on a poster that they're selling.
Let me see it.
The check?
Yeah.
I cashed it.
Dude, you did not cash a 12-cent check.
I didn't get a 12-cent check.
I know you didn't because ain't nobody got no paying for your likeness. Damn. You look better now than you did when you were younger.
I know. I am dog ugly.
You're not as ugly as Joe Spellman, though. And if you guys want to see,
nobody is.
If you guys want to see two people uglier than Steve, tomorrow night's the NFL Super Bowl preview, or Wednesday night's the NFL Super Bowl preview show, and that'll be Joe Spellman and Dan Kornhauser. You need to see them. All right, Steve, you got anything else before we wrap it up here on Indiana basketball?
So what do you think about Indiana this weekend? Do they go 2-0? I think they go 2-0.
I think they do. We'll bring that up after we see the Rutgers game when we do the show Thursday night at 7 o'clock, which will review Rutgers, preview the Indiana against dumbass Juwan Howard. We're going to beat them. I mean, Juwan Howard may try to bitch slap Mike Woodson, and then Mike Woodson will beat the hell out of him anyways.
He's got to get permission from who's the guy that hit Chris Rock at the Oscars?
Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Why does he need permission?
You have to have permission from Will Smith to bitch slap people now.
I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap it up. Steve,
good job by IU. Purdue's always a big win. All right. You say what you want to. That team showed poise. They showed poise in this run.
Steve, the thing that was impressive to me is this. Purdue showed poise too, came back and looked like they were going to take the game, and then IU stepped up and still
stopped them.
To me, that 45 seconds of Race Thompson, with the block shot, the closeout on the three, and then the steal all within 30 seconds. I mean, he didn't do a lot the rest of the game, but he made a huge difference there. And
I'll honestly say that I did not feel this way at the beginning of the season. I honestly did not. But Trace Jackson Davis is a beast.
Yes.
I did not feel that way about him at the beginning of the season. But what Mike has done and his staff has done to just make that man, he's NBA worthy now, I believe. I believe at the beginning of the season he was not NBA worthy. I believe now that kid can play in the NBA and be effective. He
Yeah,
is
I
a
think he can
beast.
too. Yes. And we had this discussion before. Is Trace Jackson Davis, when he's done here, is he a top 10 all-time player for the Indiana Hoosiers?
A
Hey,
top 10 all-time player? Sure, yeah, that's a no-brainer. Yes.
Joseph also said to keep my
Keep
name
my
out
name,
Joe effing mouth. He's trying to be like Will Smith. He loves Will Smith.
I know. He's trying to do his Will Smith joke.
Hey, and remember this. It's not just sports betting. Betting.net compares the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, unbutton your pants. Play the top online slots, pokers, and table games. Also, if you like table games, are you farting?
No,
Are
I
you
just unbuttoned
farting
my
again?
pants.
Oh, you're farting. Did you shit your pants again just a little bit?
No, I did not. Okay, come on.
That's like last show when you know, I just shot or sharted. Oh, I didn't even know what the hell that was. I had to get up my hillbilly dictionary to look it up. Remember this, you can sign up with stake.us and our exclusive promo code of TGT Social, all capital letters, to secure your unique 5% rate back bonus. Make sure you check out SI Sportsbook. You can check that out in the link to the description below in the video. If you just started watching the show, you can go to Facebook, Grilling Truth, or YouTube. Watch the show from the beginning. Make sure you share it out because, let's face it, we're not Sports Illustrated, so we're not dumbasses. And, you know, we're not ESPN, so we're not shills for who's giving us money. I mean, we are, but they're not the ones giving it to us. So you'll get the unvarnished, grueling truth here. Make sure you check out all of our articles previewing all the games coming up this week. And our Super Bowl coverage will start Wednesday night at 8 o'clock with the NFL Prediction Show. Make sure you check us out then. But for now, Steve, we're going to wrap it up. So for Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.